Thank you. This is more meaningful to me than I can express in words, but since I'm going to use words, let me express it. I am delighted to be with you today and to join in the celebration of this pivotal moment in your hero's journey that honors and affirms your hard work and commitment in your quest to knowledge and growth. It is particularly meaningful to me to have been asked to give the commencement address for Pacifica. Pacifica is one of our Golden State treasures and an inspired school whose dedicated students and vision I deeply admire and I've been blessed to interact with over the years. I'd like you to take this moment and to congratulate yourselves, to congratulate your inner hero and its hard work and the countless hours of study that you have invested into being here on this very special day to honor that which you have most definitely earned. I am personally delighted and deeply honored to share this day with you, your family, your friends, and all of the professors, administrators, and staff of Pacifica. Know yourself. Be true to yourself. And never laugh at another person's dreams. These three simple and yet very difficult challenges were my artist's father's gift to me and became the guiding principles behind the journey and purpose of my life. My mom was a school teacher, and she shaped with the goodness of the heart, her heart, the values I treasure in the human heart, and she taught me with her kindness to be kind. In my early teens, I was inundated by my oceanic unconscious. Every night I would experience nightmares, dreadful nightmares, just sleep paralysis, lucid dreams, out-of-body experiences, and I knew I was not crazy. But I also knew instinctively that if I did not find a way to navigate this inner darkness and turmoil and make some sense of this profound overwhelm, that I would sound crazy and feel very isolated. I needed to discover tools with which to explore these altered states and implications in my own hyperactive consciousness. I was learning how not to drown in the realms of inner chaos that had neither meaning nor form but pulsed with a sense of dread and infinite darkness. And my father would say, when you can no longer talk about something, paint it. I began my artist and what became my visual philosopher's journey as a way of asking questions, but more importantly, as a way of not going mad. I fell in love with acting in a very early part of my life, as I had so much energy in me that wanted to get out. Now, I didn't know what this energy was. I don't think the energy knew what it was, but it wanted out. And I needed to create tools and context for my inner turbulence. Ever since kindergarten, I have always loved acting. And as a teen, I discovered that acting was the best approach for entering an inner creative relationship with the manifold characters within one's unconscious. You know, people would say, be yourself, and I always thought, well, which one? Acting is based upon embodiment and being true to one's character in the greater play. It cultivates role-playing and entering into the psyche of another by becoming the other and yet remaining yourself. This process teaches that the play, the ritual, is the thing. Much like how Joseph Campbell spoke of our human theater, mythic archetypes, and a hero with 1,000 faces. Joseph Campbell also expressed that the artists of every generation must reinvigorate the myths. One's inner artist is not a matter of approach, of product, but of approach. To reinvigorate the myths is to honor the hero's journey within and to recognize our essential part in a much greater tree upon whose branches we grow as leaves. In the process of seasonally falling away
We describe the tree in our passing and finally touching earth and re-becoming seed and soil of future generations as the human ancestral tree grows from our seasons of being. We are the storytellers who live our stories, who become the stories, who transform the stories from within, not by escaping, but by transmuting inner difficulty, obstacles, and darkness. This is the art and divine alchemy of being human. And our human art is in our stories, and our stories weave our DNA into a tapestry of what one holds to be true and possible, or absurd and impossible. It is up to ourselves to begin to weave consciously, to tell the better stories of who we are as human beings, and why being human matters. It is upon ourselves to exert our free will, and to decide to embody the more worthy versions of ourselves because we can, and if we can, we must. Our times are a clarion call to the creative heart and imagination, and a type of artistry within human anguish that asks each of us to consider truly, what does it mean to be human? Our personal difficulties of making sense of ourselves is not unique to any one of us. It is carried within each of us. It forms the very questions at the heart of the human saga. What does it mean to be human? Why am I here? Why is this so difficult? Why does it have to hurt? Why am I me and not someone else? The hero's journey, this soul's willingness to be born over and over again into the adventure of life, into a unique volume of human understanding, reveals that life's art and alchemy insists upon transmutation, not avoidance, participation, not critique. The course ahead is not for or against something or someone else or getting somewhere else, but about ourselves, and claiming personal responsibility to cultivate the better versions of ourselves, not because we must, but simply because we can. Like actors honing their craft, so too with one's consciousness. We are called to shape our characters with dedication and commitment. The comparison to theater and characters and character development helps one recognize what the great surrealist artist Salvador Dali once said: "No lazy artist ever creates a masterpiece." Life itself is the artist, and we are an art form of creation. And whether recognized or not, we are potential artists of consciousness. Freedom, like character and dignity, never develop by blaming one's condition on another, which is a bit like blaming a fellow actor for one's lack of commitment to one's own character. A relinquishing of blame is essential for effective inner work and is true of any relationship or character development, both outside and within oneself. Nothing but weeds grow in a garden left unattended. The neighbors do not need any help in deciding what to plant or whether to weed their garden. Their decisions about their garden don't matter. Yours do. They don't need your help. Your inner garden needs your help. It pleads for your attention. If your garden grows and becomes beautiful, it will not need justification, just enjoyment. This is art. We are the gardens we cultivate, and we are responsible for the weeds we don't attend. The value we place on this thing called life, the possibility of this thing we imagine as soul, this thing we think of as ourselves, this thing we think of as human, is a profound and essential key to the present moment. The ancestral imprint and importance of why you are here today is mythic theater. As with any ritual of coming of age or honoring the seasons and cycles of growth, this is our chosen ritual to honor the completion of one cycle and the beginning of another. And this ceremony is our mythic moment together, our seeding of intention and possibility. For we human beings who live our lives in passing, this is our time. This is our earth. This is our story, our context, and our costumes. We gather here on this worldly stage together as its living expression and cast of characters, finding that the human theater holds many rituals and very old traditions that allow something to be honored and given place, like planting a seed to commemorate this moment, this new beginning, this commencement. One of the reasons why this is a mythic moment is that we are aligned in purpose and place to honor not simply ourselves, but one another, and to deeply appreciate that our struggle to find meaning and true values in this world and in ourselves is not our own story alone, but the human story in all of us. Our ancestors recognized and struggled for meaning and purpose as well. Often rebuked and unrewarded, they endured, they escaped never. But their hard work, the willingness to attend, and a Herculean unwillingness to quit, even in the most difficult circumstances, defines not simply inner human grit, but the root and evolving nature of the greater tree from which you grow in this moment, this essential season of the human story. Like a totem pole, this day we honor and become our living ancestral tree. We honor personal dedication, step into our ancestral robes, honor generational tradition, and celebrate that our roots are very deep and stand erect both together and as one. We stand with our brothers and our sisters, we stand with our children, we stand with our parents and our parents' parents. And this living tree animates the spine, awakens the heart, opens our inner eyes. Today, the roots of our tree press down into rich, dark soil that honors our ancestors and the truth that the pride and excitement felt today is not simply one's own, but theirs as well. We grow out of and stand upon the shoulders of every human generation and ancestor who goes before us. This journey into our roots is taking us in the spirit of the depths to our mythic parents, Adam and Eve, and possibly somewhere well beyond the stars. You are the living outcome of all that has gone before. Your animating energies are billions of years old, and yet forever new, forever now, forever coming into being. You are atomically woven of the sacred signature and truth of our human DNA, our coat of many colors. You are divine technology. You are the incarnate genius of creation, a mortal, immortal being animated by cosmic forces and woven of earthly atoms capable of both unique identity and shared reality. This is your world. This is your adventure. This is your life. You are at the helm, and this is your unique dream of being human. Einstein said human consciousness transforms according to how it imagines itself in the stars. Only story and the stories we tell ourselves about who we think we are
Only the stories and possibilities we honor or dishonor today can transform what we think of as reality. Reality transforms in accordance with the ideas and possibility of wonder or lack of wonder that it is animated with. If you want to change the world, change the story you're telling yourself about the world. That version doesn't really exist. It's in your head, it's in your body, it's your creation. It's the way you are composing the story for yourself. There are infinite variations on a theme of what and whom one thinks oneself to be, or what the world appears to be, which is why it is so essential to tell the better story. One's better inner story gives permission to reality to also tell a better story of itself. Now, reviewing the time you've spent in studies, the anxieties, the discoveries, the conversations and possibilities that led to this moment, now, like the root of a tree, hold you firmly in the soil, enriched and nourished by the hard work and effort invested during your years of study at Pacifica. Now, as your ancestral tree reaches toward greater heights and possibilities of meaning and human capacities, this moment marks a commitment that is not in time alone, but in depth, and a commitment that cannot be known through anyone else except yourself. It is your spine. It is your roots. You are a tree growing in the garden and soil of your own eternal imagination. A tree has no desire to get elsewhere or to leave, but to grow ever deeper and reach ever higher. You have cultivated with your struggles and triumphs that which shapes not simply your personal story, but your story will in turn help shape the possibilities of what being human means. As individuals and as human beings, we are tasked by the chaos and wonder of things to continuously adapt, continuously chart new ways of dreaming ourselves into being, and to tell stories that begin to heal rather than consume the secret, sacred heart. These are the stories not shared in the din and excesses of a world being entertained into submission and divided against itself. These are the stories we tell ourselves in the privacy of our own inner sanctum about our willingness to love in spite of every reason not to. The secret, sacred heart finds no solace in that world of perpetual disappointments in the human story. It never has, and it never will. If you recognize that something is missing from the story, then bring something to the story, yourself. This is not simply true of this now in which we live, but this is the hub of truth that connects all nows like spokes of a wheel revolving around a central point of light that dwells in the ignorance and darkness of every other age and every other time as well. There have been so many worlds like ours that have relinquished love for the sake of fear, that have been told that there is nothing of value within oneself, and that one has no value unless they are obedient to authority, an authority which was never oneself, but always the other. These are the scars that haunt the human psyche and genome, affecting not simply the individual, but the very structure and sense of possibility within the human DNA. We human beings have never escaped anything. Never escaped anything. And like Sisyphus and Job, have been forced to work without any signs of support or concern. We've been continuously promised reward after death, and over again face the truth that we are alone, and that nothing except our stories we tell will transform our world. The world doesn't need to transform. We do. It is solely up to us to give the human story more oxygen. The world, it will always be up to us what we imagine and what we value. The world is our canvas, and we are the cultivators of context. It always and most lovingly gives us whatever dreams or nightmares we give it. It's time to honor what we dream and to forgive the nightmares by bringing something to the table. That something being ourselves. So many of the questions and yearnings of the secret, sacred heart cannot be known as facts, psychological information, or things in themselves, but seek to find expression through us as creative spontaneity and art, and why myth and archetype are of such great value in our inner storytelling and self-awareness, as are curiosity and a great sense of humor. Because after all, it's not enlightenment, it's lighten up, breathe, laugh, enjoy yourself. Oxygenate your life possibilities by letting go of habitual stories and fascinations with self-abuse that no longer serve you, and consciously the ones cultivate those that do. Give yourself permission to be wise and sensible, but also silly and senseless, to have fun, in other words, to play. Play is when we let go of the burdens for a while and simply enjoy ourselves. It is finding a sense of play within the dance of the more serious depth of things that allows one to be both acutely aware and consciously optimistic. Now, one can be optimistic by nature, but one can also be optimistic by choice. One chooses to be consciously optimistic in the same way that one gives oneself permission to play. It is truly an act of free will. I choose to be optimistic. I realize all the good reasons why not to be, but I choose to say yes because yes is the more interesting idea, the more interesting option. And for me, it's better theater. We have to learn to say yes rather than yikes. Why am I optimistic? Why should any of us be optimistic? Well, first of all, we're not dead, and that's a great beginning. And secondly, being human is an amazing thing. An amazing thing. And as an elder, life has taught me many things. It's revealed many secrets that can only be known through the process of living life through its seasons. I see with inner eyes of the familial and intimate heart that reveal what I can only express as generational optimism, and why it is important to honor your hard work and take it in. Take it in. Let it sink in. You did it. You did it. Why am I optimistic? Because you did it. Because you did it, in so doing, you have made a statement with your life and your dedication. It is our free will alone that will embrace life's alchemy of transformation, personal responsibility, and growth. Let us adventure boldly into the journey ahead with optimism and courage, knowing that our stories and the responsibility we accept for them will have the power to shape and reshape the world and the story of what being human means. Congratulations, Pacifica graduates. The world awaits your brilliance, and indeed it does. And your willingness to tell the better story is often overshadowed in this world of cynicism and criticism. But today, we are reminded of the transformative power and mythic significance of storytelling, self-discovery, and honoring one's hero's journey. As graduates of Pacifica, may you embrace your unique journeys with courage and optimism, knowing that the legacy of generations go before you. Congratulations on this significant life accomplishment, and may your stories inspire hope and change in the world. Tell the better story of being human simply because you can. And if you can, you must. Congratulations, bless you, and thank you.